Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Handforth Town Council first Environmental Committee meeting. Just a few housekeeping issues. If the fire alarm does happen to go off, it's not a drill, it is a real fire. Please exit the building by the entrance which you came in, or the entrance on your left, and assemble at the front of the building. We have a councillor who has to have his mobile phone on today because he is on call. So please, no comments about mobile phones, please. It's absolutely essential. He's on emergency calls. Okay, so the agenda. Item 22.14.1 to receive apologies for absence. We are all here, are we not? So no apologies. Item 22.14.2 to note declarations of interest and request for dispensation to discuss and vote on a matter in which a member or co-opted member has a disclosable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. Does that apply to any councillors here? No. Thank you. Item 22.14.3, which is the open forum. Comments and questions concerning items on the agenda may be put to the council by the public during this period. Matters which in the chairman's view require debate and or a discussion will be referred to the next committee council meeting as appropriate. The public forum is restricted to 15 minutes unless the chairman allows otherwise. So open to the floor. Anybody has any questions? Nope, no questions? Okay, thank you. Item 22.14.4 to elect a vice chair to the Town Council's Environment Committee. Could you use your microphone, Councillor Sampson, please?
Chair, I'd like to propose Councillor Sam Millward as vice chair.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? I'll happily second that.
I would like to put myself forward as expressed at the last meeting as vice chair for the committee.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Unfortunately, we don't have a seconder, so that cannot go forward. We then have to vote for the vice chair, Councillor Sam Millward. Those in favour of electing Councillor Millward? Those against?
No personal objections or anything.
Okay, that's unanimous then, thank you. So Councillor Sam Millward, Councillor Sam Millward is elected as vice chair. Excuse me while I just turn this sound down, thank you. Item 22.14.5 is to receive a report from Councillor Moore in relation to the proposed work being carried out by ANSA in the South Hall Woods. I'm not sure where everybody is up to, so I will be as concise as I possibly can be, but go back to the beginning. There is an amount of S106 money, which is already in the hands of Cheshire East, that has come from the Jones Homes build on the sanctuary. This had been designated to some upgrading work and some work for the children at the school to do in the wood, and that's something that has been ongoing for the last 18 months, 2 years. In the proposal, there was an upgrade to the path. The upgrade path was in the Jones proposal a tarmac path, which is totally inappropriate for a wooded area, and so it's been changed now to the type of path that you would find in any National Trust location that is suitable for the environment, doesn't damage the trees and the habitat around and about, and that is what we are hoping will be installed. The date for that is September, October time. They really want to get it done before the winter. But prior to that, ANSA have done extensive works in the woods to take down some very dangerous trees, some of them close to the path, which they were concerned about, and that's really been the hold up in all of this, because they don't have enough teams to do all this work. So they've done the best they can, and they have now completed that work. And I have to say, there are quite a large number of trees that have been taken down. I had a walk round with Ruth Morgan from ANSA about 2 weeks ago. We are on track to have the path installed, but there is on the lower path, it's only the upper path that will actually be replaced. The lower path, there isn't enough money to do the lower path, but the upper path is the more important one, to be fair. However, on the lower path, there is a large area that has now been cleared of trees that were dangerous. And the proposal, which Ruth put forward, which I thought was an excellent one, was to turn this into an environmental area for the school children to go into. So it will be fenced off and have a safe area for the children to be. So that is the two works that are going to go on, the path and the fencing work. There's also, I don't know if any of you are aware, but that used to be the tank track back in the long time ago when tanks were built around here. And I took the liberty of asking Roger Small to write a piece to go on a plaque at the beginning of the woods, just to explain what it is all about, what went on here. And he's done that. That's been submitted to the clerk. And that will also, the lectern will be part of the work that goes on in the woods. As I say, ANSA have to carry out this work. We can't do it. They have to do it. The budget for the path last year was, actually I've forgotten. I think it's 40k, wasn't it? Because building materials have gone up dramatically since lockdown and Brexit and COVID and everything else, we anticipate that there will be a significant rise in that money. However, it's S106 money, it's designated specifically for that purpose, and there should still be a significant amount of money left over to do works in the wood with children. ANSA again will organise that. There's a young lady who organises voluntary groups, and she will take the children into the woods, plant native bluebells, put up bird boxes and so forth and so on. And I think it's a wonderful project for the children to get involved with. I will report back when the work starts.
Chair, could I make a comment to you, please?
Yes, certainly.
How much Section 1 and 6 money is available, and how much is the increase in the repair or replacement of the path?
As yet, the original money was 86,000, am I right? Yeah, 86 or 88, give or take. I'm not sure whether we get interest on that money because it's been sitting in a bank. I don't know about those things, but if we don't, that's what we've got. I anticipate that if we budgeted that there would be a 50% increase in the price of the path, that would more than cover it. That would be 60k and would still leave us £26,000 to do all the rest of the work that we want to do within the wood.
Can I just ask, how long is this path?
It goes from Hall Road all the way through to the roundabout at the industrial estate, Lower Meadow Road.
Well, in distance, how much is it? Please, I just need to find out, because £60,000 seems an awful lot of money.
Well, I'm just guesstimating that, Councillor Sampson. I don't know. The original estimate was 40, but
how do you know it's not still 40?
We haven't had an up to date. It won't be still 40 because materials have unfortunately escalated price of. So it definitely won't be 40. If it's 40, I'd be absolutely delighted, but I don't think it will be.
Clark, can we find out how much it's going to cost?
It's, yeah. Ruth Morgan is waiting for the quote to come back from the people that she's sent it to, which I presume are the original people who were going to do the path. As you all well know, it's ANSA that have to do the work in these places. We have no option. It's up to them to organise who facilitates things.
Chair, can I just ask?
Yes.
On the fencing, do we know how much it's going to cost for the fencing? Do we have a
No,
quotation?
all of these are up in the air at the moment because I think they have a little bit of a problem at ANSA at the moment in that Ruth Morgan is working on her own. She doesn't have a team. I think they've got sickness and something going on and somebody's left, I believe. So she is busy trying to coordinate an awful lot of things. So she is going to come in with a price for that. But again, we can't argue. It's what they come up with. We don't have a choice. We can't say, well, we'd like this person to do it because ANSA are in charge of the budget.
Okay, thank you for that. Just one more question. You raised the point about tarmac pathway. Is Ruth going to look into that as well to see?
Sorry,
you mentioned that the plan is to have a tarmac?
No, it's not going to be tarmac.
It's not going to be tarmac.
It was originally, but that is not good for the environment that it's in that it destroys the roots of trees and so forth and so on, which is why I asked for a path that would be environmentally more acceptable, and that's what they've come up with.
And what's the environmentally friendly path that they've come up with? Is it wooden? Do we know?
I believe it's not wood chippings, but it's something similar. I'll have all of the details of everything once we get this quote through, and then the council will be able to see exactly what has been quoted for.
Just one last point on that. So if they use different materials, does that mean the cost is going to go up as well? And it's potentially going to cost us a lot more than a tarmac. So we will need to know the pricing for that as well, won't we? As well as tarmac. I don't know if I would be interested in that or not.
In what? Replacing what we have with the tarmac one?
So if we put down the tarmac one, I presume the initial budget we have for 40k would have been for the tarmac, not for this other path that we've suggested.
No, the overall budget is 86. So we can use whatever is needed out of that. The proposal from Jones Homes was to replace the path, because if you've ever walked through that wood, you'll know it's not good. But it is quite a vital link from the estate. You can walk from Spath Lane Estate through Lower Meadow, over the road, and go through the woods to get to the school. So it is quite a potentially good link that we could put in there. I do not wish to have a tarmac path there. I would fight that all the way, because that is not environmentally friendly in any way, shape or form. So the 86,000 has to be spent on the Southwood. They can't be spent anywhere else. So that's what we have to spend.
So my question is, the new quotation they're going to get you on these other materials rather than the tarmac one. Does that make sense? So, and the current quotation they have, which is outdated now, is 40k, would have been for the tarmac. But
no, that's for the new path, not the tarmac. We've not had
okay, so that's for the new. Okay,
that's for the different type of path.
Okay, that makes sense.
She hasn't given us a quote for the tarmac path because ANSA recognised that really wasn't an appropriate thing to put into a wood. So,
and that was agreed early on, I presume. That's why.
Yeah,
that makes it clear. Thank you.
Okay.
Chair, can I just ask one more question, please? Is this path going to be well lit?
No, we're not having any lighting on it at all.
So it can't be used in the evening then?
Well, it's not used in the evening now. We don't want to have any more lighting anywhere, but it could be used morning and afternoon for parents coming in to and from school.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions, councillors? No? Okay. Item 2214.6, to purchase an air pollutant tester for up to £500. Now, sorry, Clark, I have a query here because on the main one you've put 600. Okay, so it's 600 to be five. Well, it's got 5 on here and 6 on the main agenda. I don't really want to spend more than 5.
500 and a bit mark, so give you a bit of leeway.
Okay. To be used to test the air quality in and around Hamforth, particularly outside schools. I believe that it is the remit of the Environment Committee to try and do as much as we possibly can to mitigate carbon emissions. And one of those things is trying to get people out of cars. Not an easy task, I understand, but I would like to know what the pollutant ratio is outside our various schools, because I live near one of them, and there are huge numbers of cars, and I know that there are numbers of cars at the Grange as well. However, it's not just for that. I'm sure everybody has noticed that the traffic in Hamforth has increased dramatically over the last probably 6-12 months. I would like to use that to test the air quality in and around Hamforth. So this isn't just for use outside schools. We have a lot of children these days who are presenting with respiratory problems, and that is, according to the medics, I'm not a medic, is down to poor air quality. I would like to know what our air quality really is like. And that's why I would like to buy this, and I think it will be very useful. It will be a very useful tool to have for the council to be able to monitor what is going on in and around Hamforth.
Chair, could I ask a question? I've got no problem with the purchase of this air pollutant. I think it's a very good idea. However, what action are we going to take as a town council, or what action can we take as a town council to mitigate this?
Yeah, very good question. One of, as I said a few minutes ago, one of my aims is to get people out of cars. And in my opinion, the schools are the best place to start this, because children are the best, in my opinion, the best salesmen in the world, because they never give up. And if we can get the school children on board, which a lot of them are anyway, they're all very environmentally knowledgeable these days, then it will be an aim. I don't say it'll be easy, but we must try to reduce the number of cars that are floating in and around the village, around schools. And I have quite a number of ideas to deal with that, but I'm just one person. I want other people to put forward ideas as well, but that's one of my aims.
Chair, I'll probably just follow up on the question from Councillor Sampson there. I think I do like the idea of knowing the figures. I think if we test in and around the central areas of the town, which is where the schools are, we will find out exactly what we're expecting to find out, and then we're back to the question really about exactly what are we going to do to try and get people to drive less, which we might almost just go ahead and try and do anyway, because that's where we're going to end up really, I suspect. Yeah. And then we need some kind of plan, and we might as well almost just execute that plan potentially, rather than testing anyway.
Chair.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go on. No, carry on.
A few years ago, we tried to implement a walk to school, and we got 3 children. And I personally canvassed a lot of the mums, and the reason why they dropped their children off is because out of the 40 odd mums I asked, 30 were leaving for work.
Yes,
in a car.
I fully appreciate that.
We have a very, very poor transport system.
We do.
We have a poor train system. So I admire what you're trying to do, but I really don't think, I think we should maybe putting more money into a friendly bus that could pick
Yeah.
all the children up, or at least something like that. I do agree that we need the air pollutants. Who's going to man it, and what are we going to do with the information?
Well, you asked that last question, what are we going to do with the information? Well, something as simple as reducing the speed limit in the village would reduce carbon emissions, and encouraging people to use public transport. We need to have a better public transport system, and that can be part of our environmental objectives. I mean, at the moment we have trains trains that go north, south, or wherever we're going, Manchester and Stockport and down to Crewe. We have one bus. Yeah. So yes, yeah. So yes, the system is poor, and that's what we have to look at. But in order to look at that, I think we have to place that seed in people's minds to get them to look at this and think, do you know what? I don't want my child to grow up in a polluted environment like this. So yes, I will. Maybe one day a week I won't go to school in my car. You know, there are all sorts of ideas, and that's where I'm going with all of this. We need to look at the overall picture. It's not just, you know, outside the school. It's looking at transport and what we can do about it. So that's the general aim.
I really feel that in trying to stop the cars, we've got to have some form of a better transport system in place before we even use any of this information. Because don't forget, in our skies, planes fly over my house regularly, and they deposit.
Absolutely, they do, and that's another reason for having the tester.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
I was just wondering on the next motion is putting together a working group to discuss ideas generally and potentially try and tie ideas together. So would it be potentially worth postponing this and discussing this within that working group to try and tie it together with a strategy for, you know, if we're going to try
the purchase of the air pollutant tester?
No.
Well, the next one is the working group to discuss potential projects, and presumably to come together with an idea. You know, what are the top projects? How are they actually going to tie together? And potentially that might slot well into one of those items to discuss as a working group.
It might well do. It might well do. I mean, that what I was trying to say to you before. I've got lots of ideas, but I'm just one person on my own. I need people from a variety of age ranges, people who've already got experience in environmental matters. I'm thinking particularly people like Andrew Backhouse, who have all sorts of ideas and have a track record, who can come along and tell us about things and do things that how to do things, because I'm a firm believer in not reinventing the wheel. If somebody's already done it and they've done it successfully, then copy it. There's no point in trying to do it better.
Can I just make a point, just going back to the last motion about purchasing this air pollutant device? There's quite a lot of data available on actually Cheshire East website that I had a look at. There are 2 devices that are currently in place, which they are required to do by law. So there is one on Wimsor Road and there is one on Finney Green. And both of those have shown it to be low pollutant. We have less air pollution in our Hemforth area than we do.
Sorry, where's the one on Wilmslow Road?
It doesn't say specifically. It just says, when I'm looking at the website and I'm trying to,
I'd like to know where it is. I'd really like to know where it is, because if you lived and worked in Hemforth like I do, and you saw the amount of traffic now that goes through that village, you'd be horrified. I believe that the pollution levels have gone up quite dramatically, and well, we won't mention the debacle over the facts and figures that were brought out by Cheshire East some time ago, because they were, no, thank you. So I mean, if they gave us access to those figures, but I'd much prefer to have our own under our control. But that's up to councillors to decide. I'm just putting forward a motion.
I'd still like to propose the fact that we purchase this air pollutant because at least you'll have something in place when you set up the working group to say, because maybe the working group will be manning this, unless you've got somebody in mind to man it. I don't.
No, I've got nobody in mind. I want people
so
to come
if-
across
if-
the village.
I don't know what
Town.
the other councillors feel, but I do think it is something that we need to have true facts and figures that we can demonstrate that have been collected well and legally and open, and then we don't just tell the schools, we tell all the people that live in
Absolutely,
Hanford.
absolutely. Okay, well, I think we've discussed it at length, so I'm going to propose the motion to purchase an air pollutant tester. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Sampson. Can we take a vote on that, please? Those in favour?
Can I just say, I think it's a bit more premature for us to get this. I think we should wait for us to have this working group that looks into it, and maybe they might decide that actually we don't need it. Maybe we want to explore this other data that's available out there before we go out and fork out £600 on this.
Okay, well, you're entitled to your thoughts. I propose the motion so you can either vote for it or vote against it or abstain, whichever you prefer. Okay, so those in favour? Those against?
I'm not against, but I do agree with Councillor Ribier on this, that my preference would be to postpone it and drop it into the next, into the working group.
Okay, well,
yeah, don't decide not to do it. It sounds like a good idea, but I would put it in with a working group where we can discuss a variety of ideas.
Okay.
And potentially incorporate it.
In that case, then we will defer the motion. Can we do that, Clark? Is that all right? To defer it?
Yeah, you just voted in favour of it.
No, there was only two.
No, because we were split. I'm not having 50-50. We've got 50. We've got to think of everybody here. You know. Yeah, I'd rather defer it so that we have a better chance to debate it. So let's defer it, and then we'll debate it at another time. Thank you. Okay, item 22.14.7. To put together a working group consisting of councillors and non-councillors, no more than 10 in total, to discuss ideas for projects for environmental committee. Non-councillors to have experience, track record in environmental issues. Again, this is my motion. I want to have people from across Hanford come together to look at the problems that we've got. We have a potential environmental disaster on our hands, and we need to do our bit. The government are not going to solve this, but we can solve things in and around this area. But we need people to come forward with ideas. And so I'd like to propose that we have a working group. The proposal would be that the working group meet over Zoom. Working groups are allowed to do that. So that we're not all having to traipse to the centre. And I think that way we might capture some people who would not otherwise be able to come out, people that can't get babysitters and so forth and so on. So any comments from councillors, please?
Chair, how do you propose to advertise this to non-members?
Over the council website, and I'm hoping that Councillor Smith over there will put something out on Facebook, which will get to the mums and dads. That's who I want to get to, and just have a cross section of our society here in Hanford.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with the idea. It's a good idea. Just one question about the limit. So if there are only 10 people allowed, and if we get more applicants, is there a way of elimination that we're going to do? What's the process?
I put 10 because when you get over 10, it becomes quite difficult to manage a group and quite difficult to come to conclusions about things. So I've put 10. It's not written in tablets of stone, but I certainly wouldn't want to go above sort of 12 or 15. I'd like to try and keep it to 10 if we can. And again, I'd like to have a cross-section of people, but it would be good to have some people who had some experience and knowledge, you know, like the likes of Andrew, and Andrew's already said he would help out and give us any advice and so forth. So it would be open to everybody. I'm not excluding anybody from this. If we got 50 applicants, I'd be absolutely over the moon. But but I'm not sure we will. So let's just wait and see. If that happens, well, we'll have to cross that bridge.
I was thinking maybe reaching out to the schools and asking them for volunteers. Maybe they'll have children that
Well,
might want to come
yes,
along.
it's a good point. Yes, I mean the schools, as I said, are the starting point, and yeah, perhaps the head teachers are the people to get to, or their deputy heads or whatever. So we can reach out to them. So yes, all of that, as many people as we can get in touch with. So, any more comments? No? Yes? Can I propose this then, that we form a working group? I will propose the motion. May I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Miller has seconded it. May I have a vote in favour? Yep, unanimous. Thank you. Item 24.14.8 is very similar. It's to put out calls to schools, scouts, guides, etc. to help with marking trees in the Garden Village area ready for removal by Cheshire East and replanting in December, and also for people to suggest areas where these trees could be planted. This is another one of my little projects. I'm sure you're all aware that the Garden Village is being built over the bypass in the area in and around Total Fitness. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of trees. I have some pictures here. Saplings, they call them whips, if you want to just pass that round. These are purely oak trees, and there are hundreds of them. We have a contact through our woodland expert at the National Trust at Style, and they are trying to create an area which is exactly the replication of the area that's being destroyed over at the Garden Village. And so they would like some of these oak trees. Now I met with the ecologist who was working with the Garden Village. She doesn't work for them, she's independent. And she met with the arboriculturalist, and he came up with the plan that yes, all these trees can be transplanted, because if they're not transplanted, they will simply be ploughed into the ground and taken away. Now these oak trees are about this high, and Style wants some of them. I don't know how many as yet, but I have asked for between 300 and 500 trees, and I think this is a great project for our schools to get involved with. They can't, unfortunately, get involved in actually taking the trees because there are some issues potentially with contaminants, which is why the soil has to be removed from these, and they have to be bagged up and then taken elsewhere. So what I would like to do is to have these trees actually marked up, and if we got the schools involved doing that, then that would make it very much easier for the Cheshire East to come along and remove them. Now they have agreed that they will remove the trees. There is a budget for environmental mitigation. As we are losing such a huge area, I'm hoping that Cheshire East will pick up the tab on this one. They have indicated that they would help. It's not going to cost an arm and a leg, but those trees are some years in the growing, and I think it's absolutely criminal to plough them into the ground when we could put them in and around Hamforth in some of our parks. Some will obviously go to Style. I know Wilmslow wants them, they've already contacted me. So I would like to get the kids involved again, and there's all sorts of mathematical exercises that they can do with it and all sorts of things. So that is what I would like to do. Fine. Is that okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right, well, I'll propose the motion then.
Can I
Can I have a
just
sorry?
quickly ask, just quick question, this environmental mitigation fund, do we know how much it is?
I've a funny feeling it was about 1 million or more, but that covers a multitude of sins. So, and it covers the whole of Cheshire East. Yeah. So it's a big budget, but probably you couldn't possibly expect that to be spent here. I don't think it'll cost that much to do to do it. To be honest, we're talking about potentially 1 day's labour for perhaps a dozen men, and then transportation costs, some ring fencing, for when the trees are planted, and stakes. So I think I can't imagine that's going to cost an arm and a leg. And anyway, it should be done because they are destroying that area, and it should be done because those trees need to be moved. Simple as that.
I agree with the motion. I was just intrigued on how much this fund is, and another question is whether we need to put in a special application for it, or would we just, how do we get this?
There's no special application. We have a meeting on a regular basis with the guys from the Garden Village, and I've been pushing this now for some time since I became a councillor. And it's finally coming to fruition, and they will be starting work over there once they get their planning through and some of the contaminant reports through, which should be sometime in autumn. Now, these trees cannot be moved till about December, and we're looking at a huge area in and around. So that's why it's the December time.
Okay, so we'll just get the funding when we ask for it. We don't need to put in any sort of applications or nothing like that.
Well, it's all very much a work in progress. We're waiting to see. We've got a meeting, I believe, sometime in the next few weeks with the guys, and I'm hoping that they will then come back and say yay or nay or whatever, and we'll go from there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So I will propose the motion. May I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Millward. All those in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. Thank you very much, councillors, for your attention. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the close of the meeting. We need to go straight on, don't we? Can you imagine, there's thousands of those. Are we all here? Sam, me, Vivian, John, Carrie. Oh yeah, it's question. They've got to be replanted within 24, 48 hours. So they've got to, oh yeah, they've got to go straight away. Yes, they are. You're probably aware there's a Wilmslow Woodland group, so they hopefully will get on board.
I can't be the only person who pulls.
Sorry?
Little tree seedlings out around the bottom.
Over.
Yeah.
We don't seem to. Where have everybody gone? Councillor Sullivan. Where's Councillor Smith? Could you just go and find him for me, Clark, please? My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Oh dear. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Handford Town Council's Planning Committee. We'll go straight on to apologies for absence, item 2215.1. We do not have any absences, so nothing to note there.
Chair.
Item 2215.
Sorry, Chair, this is
Sorry.
just because this is a new meeting. I'd just like to
Oh, yes,
say
sorry.
that I
yes.
am on call. So if the phone goes, I'll have to answer it, and my apologies in advance if it does, but it's extremely unlikely.
Thank you. Item 2215.2, to note any declarations of interest and request for dispensation to discuss and vote on a matter in which a member or co-opted member has a disclosable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. Does that apply to anybody here? No. Thank you, councillors. Item 2215.3 is the open forum. Comment and questions concerning items on the agenda can be put to the council by the public during this period. Matters which in the chairman's view require debate and or a discussion will be referred to the next committee or council meeting as appropriate. The public forum is restricted to 15 minutes unless the chairman allows otherwise. So the floor is open to ladies and gentlemen. Okay, no comments from anybody. Item 2215.4, to approve and sign the minutes of the Planning Committee meeting of the 10th of May 22. Does anybody have anything on those minutes that they object to or have found any corrections that need to be done? No? May I have a proposer to accept those minutes then, please? Thank you, Councillor John Smith. Can I have a seconder? Thank you. Oh, sorry. I didn't vote. We didn't vote, did we? I do apologise. We didn't vote. Can I take a vote on that, please? All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 2215.5, to consider the planning application 221768M, the erection of a single-storey detached cabin at the rear garden, 8 Peaver Road, Handforth. Councillors, do you have any comments, please? No.
It's a summer house, actually, isn't it?
Okay.
I don't think they'll have much space left for garden, but apart from that, I have no objections.
Well, that's their problem, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, can we have someone to propose that we support this planning application? Thank you. Councillor Sullivan proposes. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Millward to second. Those in favour? Thank you. Item 2215.6, to consider the planning application 221944M, a new single-storey side and rear extension and internal changes, 3 Hampson Crescent, Handforth.
The adjoining house has put in a notice of support on the planning portal anyway.
Yes, I noted that, yeah.
And I did notice that the neighbouring house looks like they've extended already, but it's not reflected in the plan submitted for their neighbour, but presumably that's just happens.
Yeah. Okay, may I have someone to propose that we support that application? Thank you, Councillor Smith. May I have a seconder? Thank you very much, Councillor. May I have a vote in? Sorry, Councillor Sullivan, Kerry Sullivan supported. Yeah. Okay. All those in favour? Thank you. Unanimous. Item 2215.7, to consider the planning application 221773M, the removal of the existing conservatory to allow for a new single-storey extension across the rear of the existing property, 28 School Road, Handforth. Comments from councillors, please? Nothing?
Again, more of the same, really.
Yeah, they are pretty standard plans. So yes, may I have a proposer to support the application, please? Thank you, Councillor Millward. A seconder? Thank you, Councillor Sullivan, second, and those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Item 2215.8, to consider the planning application 222182M, 2-storey side extension, the reform of an existing front porch, including the extending the length of the porch, 5 Pickmere Road. Again, comments from councillors, please?
Yes, can I just make
Councillor Smith.
a comment, Chair? They did have plans to do this probably about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, but for some reason didn't go ahead with it. What was concerning people at the time was it might be abutting the hedge line. The drawings here show that it's leaving quite a decent gap between the side of the building and the hedge. It's quite a large garden that property has, and unlike the one on the other side of a little bit further around on Pitby Road, where they're trying to put up a 2-bedroom house.
Oh yes, the one we
in a
discussed
space.
at the last meeting.
Yeah, this one, it's an extension. It's not putting another property on which needs its own access or parking. In fact, currently, this house has space on their drive for at least 2 cars.
Right.
And
even with the extension.
even with the extension, the extension isn't affected at all. Also, it doesn't affect the existing parking. So I would have no issues with it.
Okay. Any comments from anybody else?
I did just notice thing off Google Earth. It's got a driving school marked next door. Is this a neighbouring property?
No, it's me.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not next door. I used to be in that area.
Councillor
Okay, so
Smith,
that's
would you
outdated.
use your microphone, please?
Beg your pardon. Yes, sorry, Councillor Millwood. That was adjacent to where I used to live. However, Google Earth isn't very good at getting right on the button for where these businesses are. So
Okay,
it's no longer there.
great.
It may have sounded the way that I was talking about this place that it might be mine or something, but I wish it was.
Okay. Any comments from any other councillors? Right. May I have a proposer then to support this? Put this forward. Thank you, Councillor Smith. May I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Millward. And those in favour of supporting the application? Thank you. Unanimous. Item 22.15.9. To consider the application 22-2190M, the demolition of the existing single-storey garage and construction of a new double-storey side extension with attached single-storey side extension. Loft conversion with rear dormer. Additional accommodation includes kitchen, extended kitchen, utility study bedroom and loft bedroom with external covered garage and storage. 25 Irwin Drive, Handforth. Comments from councillors, please.
This is quite a big extension, but the dormer is reflective really in something that one of the neighbours on the opposite side has done already, and it doesn't encroach particularly on the garden.
So nothing unusual in the application?
Not that I saw.
No. Okay, may I have a proposer unless there's any other comments from anybody? Okay, may I have a proposer then to support this? Thank you. Councillor Sullivan proposes. May I have a seconder? Councillor Smith seconds. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 22.15.10. I hope you all received the email this morning from the clerk who apologised for the error. It should be 2093, should it not? I also apologise because I didn't pick it up when I was sent the agenda, so I apologise for that as well. My fault too. So I hope you managed to find it on the website. Yeah. Any comments from people?
Was the reference number correct in the original one? In the original agenda?
The reference number is 22-2093, not 2193.
I was trying to look you up on the portal and I couldn't find it. Even with that, I wasn't putting in the property number or anything. I was just putting in the reference. Did you find it, Sam? On the portal?
I had a look around and worked out what the reference should have been.
You found it on the portal, yeah, I did.
I found it after receiving the email last week.
Yeah, okay. So sometimes the portal's a bit weird. So this is the demolition of the existing porch and construction of a new porch on 29 Pickmere Road, Handforth. I don't think there's anything particularly unusual about this. It goes against any planning. Does anybody else have any comments to make? Okay, may I have a proposer then, please? Thank you, Councillor Smith, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of the Planning Committee meeting. Right, I need a drink of water now.